We're going to take a few minutes to talk about thread tension. The tension on a sewing machine needs to be set so that the top thread and the bottom thread are under an equal amount of tension so that your stitch is balanced. If you have thread tension that is too tight or too loose, let me show you here the difference. So thread tension that's too loose might look okay from the one side, but when you flip it over, you're going to see that you can see the loops of the thread. So what I did was on my upper part of the machine, I sewed with red thread, and my bobbin I sewed black so that you could really see the loops. So this is a little bit too loose. On this sample over here, it still looks okay until you flip it over, and this is really loose. And so if you see this kind of thing happening, at some point, the sewing machine, these threads could get caught down inside, and you could have a problem. Tension that's too loose is going to cause your seams to not be really tight. So when you open a seam allowance and press it, you'll be able to see the threads inside the seam, and we don't want that. We want a nice balanced seam so that when we open it, it looks, come on, there. You don't see the stitching. You just see it's nice and tight, so it's holding those two pieces of fabric together really well. On your sewing machine, you'll have a knob that sort of looks like this. I have a Janome sewing machine, so this is my thread tension. And most of the time when you buy a sewing machine, the thread tension comes set around number 3. This machine is older, and it's been a workhorse, as you can see by how much paint is worn off the edges. And so this one, I generally have to have it in a number 4. If I don't, what happens is I'm sewing, it gets looser and looser and looser, and I don't notice it. So somewhere for this machine, I'm on a 4 and a 5. And you can tell if you have good thread tension when you grab the thread and you pull it. And it should pull, there should be some resistance on the thread. If it slides through too easily, you know that you don't have enough tension. And the same thing from the bobbin thread. When we pull the thread, there should be a little bit of resistance, and they should almost feel equal when you pull them. Most of the time when we have a problem with tension, we're going to adjust the upper tension. To adjust the lower tension, it's a little trickier, and I suggest you always start with the upper tension. Some sewing machines, you can see that my sewing machine, the bobbin drops in from the top. And when I show you the Nietzsche sewing machine, you'll see that it's different.